This week on Critiquing Comics, Adam and I are wowed by Holy West, a supernatural western with smart writing by Seth Jacob and beautiful art by Daniel Irizarri. Coming up after this.
Do you like comics? The 1960s? How about middle-aged gay couples gossiping about their neighbors? Then you'll love Checkered Past,
a loving examination of DC's Go-Go Check branded comic magazines published from February 1966 to August 1967.
I'm Dr. Bob.
And I'm Dr. Husband.
And each week we'll be your hosts on a trippy tour through mid-century four-color madness. Checkered Past! Available wherever fine podcasts are downloaded for free.
This is Tim.
And this is Adam.
And this is Critiquing Comics. Welcome to Critiquing Comics. This is Tim in Tokyo with Adam in Nagoya. How are you?
I'm all right, Tim. I'm getting ready for the holiday season. I hope that this episode won't be put out after the holiday season, and then I'll have accidentally put a timestamp on when we recorded it. But
well, you know, with my moving and everything, it is going to be a little after the holiday, or at least after Christmas.
Oh, okay. Then I'm fondly remembering the holidays. That's how I am right now.
Right. And I'm enjoying my new apartment, which I'm not in yet as we're recording this. But anyway, so we were sent a comic called Holy West Issue 1, written by Seth Jacob, who apparently is not on Twitter. I couldn't find him. But the artist, Daniel Irizarri, he contacted us through Twitter and sent the comic. And I know he's actually done quite a bit, like for IDW, Judge Dredd, and Star Trek, and other things for other publishers. So He's pretty accomplished, and I was not surprised given how good the art is in this comic.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I thought this art was just fantastic, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. But so when you say that now, it all sort of makes sense, because it does have a very polished and really nice look to it.
And the story, I thought the writing was good too. It's kind of a supernatural Western. It reminds me of The Sixth Gun. Did you ever read that? Written by Cullen Bunn and drawn by Brian Hurt. That's been better part of 10 years ago now, I think. The series ended some years ago. But that was also a supernatural Western. And
yeah,
this reminded me of that.
I'm not familiar with that one, but it did remind me, for some reason, a little bit of The Preacher, if you remember that old Vertigo series, because it's sort of... Because this has the supernatural element, but also sort of a religious mysticism kind of element to it, but combined with that kind of Western thing. So it had some vibes similar to that, although it wasn't nearly as kind of edgy as that, those old Vertigo books used to be.
Yeah, in this story, they're apparently searching for the Holy Grail from Arthurian legend. How that ended up in the Old West, I'm not sure. And there's this bounty hunter called Percy who is searching for it, and he keeps having these dreams or flashbacks. Well, when he's sleeping mostly, but sometimes when he's not sleeping, you see some of those scenes where I assume that's a younger, non-bearded version of him that we're seeing in those scenes.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the take I took.
Yeah, and then there's this geologist who's missing, and everybody's trying to find him, and it turns out that he's more than just a geologist. But, so yeah, there are several threads running through this. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I think that this story was really, it really made me want more at the end. I would pick this up and read it for sure if I saw it like at the store, because, the geologist element and the fact that they're kind of like these mazes of tunnels under the ground and all that kind of stuff, it's almost like an Indiana Jones kind of adventure story. It layers all these different kind of genres, but it doesn't feel like pastiche at all. It feels like all of it kind of fits in that world in a really nice way. And I thought the story was fascinating, and I thought that it was really well paced. There's no big blocks of text explaining what's going on. It's all told through dialogue.
No essay from the writer.
Yeah, there's no big Chris Claremont like giant text blocks and stuff like that or whatever. But I thought that it was really good the way that it was paced, and the way that, there's even a lot of panels where it just shows people kind of moving around and action shots and stuff like that. So the story breathes, but it does tell quite a bit of story in not that many pages. So I think that the writing was really, really, it matched the quality of the art, which is saying quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, and Daniel didn't say anything about what they're planning to do with this. I mean, he just tweeted me and said, "Would you like to review our book?" So, but I wouldn't be surprised if they could get like Image to publish this or something.
Yeah, it would totally fit the kind of house style of Image, I think, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, as we said, like the art is really accomplished, and I don't know is there a top? Maybe is Daniel coloring it too? I don't see a colorist. Oh wait, no, yeah, Daniel Irizarri colors. I particularly like the colors. How they help you differentiate between scenes, and the dream sequence. Like in the beginning, we start out with what's a dream sequence, and it's really bright and sunny and pink, and then we go to him waking up in the winter outdoors by a campfire where he's been sleeping, and it's blue and cold and there's snow on him, and the huge differentiation between the dream and the waking part. So it's really really well done. And I liked how there was a scene where, let's see, I put it in my notes. What page was this? Page 17. Percy is climbing up something, and there are 4 images of him in one panel, but Daniel has colored it so that the first 3 images of him are paler, and it gives this kind of a feeling of he's moving almost like it's a blur or a ghost or something. So it minimizes the danger that you're going to think, oh, there are 4 guys in this panel. No, it's him moving through the panel, and coloring the first 3 paler helps us to understand that.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a few things like that in this book where he shows sort of the passage of time using that technique, because there's one where it shows him taking several shots as well, shooting several people, and the shots are slightly colored differently so that you can tell which is the most recent shot that he's fired from his gun, and that they're not just these weird rogue lines on the page. You can tell that it's showing a quick action. There's a few things like that where he's showing action or conveying the passage of time using color. And I totally agree with you. I think that the coloring that's what really stood out to me. Not only differentiating between reality and dreams, but the general mood of the scene and and everything like that. And I can't praise the colors enough. They're just really, really. I love when colors do more than just fill in the empty space. Like I like when they actually are a storytelling device, and then I think he's done that to a really great effect in this book.
There's another place toward the end where they're coming out of a cavern, out of like a tunnel, and you can see the first person coming out. We're looking up from inside of the tunnel, and I think it's Percy who's at the front of the line, and you can see the light from outdoors against him, and he's a kind of a different color from the other people who are further into the cavern. So I really like that too. The kind of winter night colors outside that are reflecting onto him.
And I think he's using the colors to sort of direct the reader's eye where he wants them to go first and stuff. So yeah, it's a very masterful technique, I think. And also, this isn't about the colors so much, but regarding the artwork in general, I feel like it's very cinematic. There's a lot of shots where you will see it shot from the ground, where you can see people's legs and boots and stuff in the foreground, and then the main shot is sort of off in the background. Or there will be shots where I think there's one where like the horse is rearing up in the front, but you can also see kind of people in the back and mud being kicked up and stuff. So there's like these layers, a good balance of like foreground and background, and the midground and stuff. And then I think it also the angle that the shot is coming from, it very much, feels like storyboards from a film or something like that. Like it's very, I guess, I said before, but cinematic is the best word I can think of for it.
Mm-hmm. I did have a few little nitpicky things.
Okay. Are they about grammar? Because usually they're about grammar or punctuation when you have nitpicky things.
They actually aren't. I didn't see anything like that. I didn't see any misspelled words. I didn't see any odd grammar. Now, if Jason were here, and Malele might say this too, the lettering, when the letter I is the first person pronoun, it should be the serifed version with the crossbars at the top and bottom.
Okay.
And all of the I's were just the single line I's in this comic. Yeah, I found a page of lettering tips from Nate Piekos, which I'll link to, where he mentions this and also I guess that the barred I, he says, might be used in initials like FBI.
Okay.
So just those two uses for it, basically. Page 14, I didn't like the balloon stem running behind a character because it created a little bit of confusion about who was talking. At first, I thought it was coming from that character, but no, it's running behind him and going over to the other character. That was, I thought, a little confusing.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't even notice that, to be honest. Like I said, I think that the pace of this kind of just kept me flipping pages and not really looking at. I probably wasn't even looking at those kind of minor details. But you have kind of an eagle eye for that kind of stuff.
I also wondered how many saloons in the Old West had cocktail napkins with the picture printed on them. That seemed a little odd. I mean, maybe this world is a little different and they have like a Kinko's in the neighborhood in this version of the Old West. I don't know. But
Well, yeah, so there is some, and I don't know if it was just a set design thing or what, but there are some scenes where it looks like there's almost a modern architecture kind of thing going on too in the background, and I couldn't tell, modern or even perhaps futuristic. I don't have the page in front of me, but there were some points like that where I couldn't tell. I mean, obviously this is set in, a Wild West kind of setting, but there were times where it feels like it's not really quite that, so it was almost like almost like Stargate, where it's like a mixture of the past and the future kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Wait a second. Okay, was that a cocktail napkin? I'm looking back here early on after Percy shoots those triplet gunmen. He takes a paper from one of them that shows. So it says Tin Cup on it, which is the name of the town that he then goes to, and it shows this kind of, I'm not quite sure what it is, some kind of a fort, which is what we see on. Okay, so yeah, that is not a cocktail napkin. Excuse me, that is that same piece of paper that he is laid down on the counter. Okay.
So maybe that's the bounty. That might be the bounty paper that he, Yeah.
He took it from one of the guys that he shot. What it is I think, not really explained yet.
Okay, so it could just be kind of a MacGuffin, like, he's after these guys who have something that they want, and that was what he was going to hunt them for, maybe, or, I'm not quite sure, but.
Yeah, well, I imagine that's yet to be revealed. But.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of story that is still. I get the impression from just what we've read so far that there's a lot of kind of this universe that has been thought out in the writer's mind. The fact that there's these three triplets, I guess the triplets only come in threes, but they
4 triplets.
The fact that the fact that there's these triplets, and they're kind of speaking to him from the grave and stuff. Like, there's a lot of things that are presented in this very matter-of-fact way, like, oh, in this world, this exists, and these things are here. They don't ever, you never question it. It's just part of the accepted reality of this place, like the guy who sees a castle in the sky or whatever it is. And so I feel like there's a whole lot of this kind of mythos and, I don't know, world building that's going to happen in the future issues, I imagine. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see where it goes next, honestly, because I like I said, I really don't have anything but praise for this first issue. I think it's a really great combination of writing and art.
Yeah, and it gets you interested in seeing the next issue. I wonder how I can get the next issue. It doesn't seem like there's a publisher for it at this point. So
just got to review it. We got to get them to send us the next copy.
Yeah, send us the next one.
Yeah, we will have the same praise, and we'll shower you with praise for the second one probably too. So that's our payment for your comic book.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
This isn't anything particular to this comic book, but I would like to see more weird takes on the Western genre. It's this. I always felt that it's kind of a shame that the Western, as a genre, disappeared. And I guess it was replaced by science fiction, is what a lot of people say. That's the new frontier. Mm-hmm. But I love to see it mixed in like this, and especially when it's mixed with weird kind of occult things or mysticism or whatever. I like to see kind of a new take on the Western genre. So that is part of what made this kind of appealing to me. And I think that they've done really excellent. It looks like a Western, like the saloon doors and the little town and all that kind of stuff. It's and I mean Westerns are probably a nightmare to draw, like drawing horses and and like intricate paneled wood designs and all that kind of stuff is probably not fun to draw unless it's something that you really enjoy. But I think that it all looks just right. It looks exactly like you want a Western comic book to look. So
okay. So, listeners, if you'd like us to critique your comics, send a PDF or a link to mail@deconstructingcomics.com, and we'll talk about it here. So, thanks for listening, and thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Tim.
After we recorded this, I found that this comic has been successfully funded on Kickstarter. It appears to be too late to get in on backing it, but I've linked to the Kickstarter page from the show notes so you can get a look at some of the pages of the comic. You can help the Deconstructing Comics family of podcasts by joining us on Patreon at patreon.com/deconcomics, and go to deconstructingcomics.com to connect to us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, to shop on Amazon to support the show, and to find links to subscribe to the podcast. Our theme is from bensound.com. Next week, Kumar and Dana review Kate Beaton's book, Ducks, 2 Years in the Oil Sands, which author Carmen Maria Machado called an exceptionally beautiful book about loneliness, labor, and survival. That's next week. Till then, this is Tim, and thanks for listening to Critiquing Comics.